21 is the winning number. What I mean by that is 21 is the number of items that I have crocheted so far this year. Hello everyone, my name's Amanda, you're watching Crafters Autonomous. Earlier this year, I set out some goals or resolutions for my crocheting, and I thought it would be cool to give a quarterly update on my progress. Let's start by going through everything I've crocheted so far this year, and then we'll talk about how these relate to my crochet resolutions. First up, I finished this basket. I'm not unloading the yarn from it because it's just a lot and it's all shoved in there. This is a crochet basket that I made using some fabric that I had cut up, and then I held it with a strand of yarn. I used yarn from a magic yarn ball, which is where you connect all your scraps of yarn, so that's why the contrast in color changes throughout. It's got handles on it. This is something I had started last year, but I got it finished this year. Next up is a tank top that I crocheted using True Boo yarn. This top is not my own design. It's a pattern I bought off of Etsy called the Aviva dress. That pattern includes instructions for how to make the Aviva top, which is a shirt, and then it goes on showing how to make it a dress. I followed the instructions for the shirt and just didn't add sleeves so that way I could keep it a tank top form. Highly, highly recommend this pattern. It is so beautiful. It's one that you can adjust so it fits your body. This is a project I started this year and finished this year. Next up, I have a set of 3 nesting baskets. This is my design, so there's 3 of them in here. This is the big one, the medium one, and the small basket. I've just about got the pattern for these all squared away, so you should be seeing that soon. I will be having a video tutorial to make the small basket size, and then if you want to make the larger 2, instructions for all 3 sizes will be included in a written pattern on Etsy. Next up, I crocheted a handful of mini dinos. Every now and then I get a kick to crochet something and just start to finish, make it, complete it, you know, a 30-minute to an hour-long type project. This is a pattern by Club Crochet. So well done. And I no longer have these because I didn't really have a need for mini dinos, but I figured both of my sisters would like them, so I sent those dinos off to their new homes. Then I crocheted a couple of turtles, which again were kind of just an impulse project. I had some yarn that I'm like, I want to work with this yarn. What do I want to make? And I started looking online and I found this really cute Fred the Turtle pattern. So Fred is this bigger turtle, and then I also wanted to make a smaller turtle, so I kind of adjusted and adapted the pattern to a smaller size. Once more with these ones, I didn't have the space for them in my room, so my younger sister was like, I'll take them. She named them Lewis and Clark. I don't remember which is which. Then for the next project I completed. These may be my favorite thing I've ever crocheted. I've had the idea in my head for some time, never got around to it. I was gonna wait a little bit closer to May 4th, but I couldn't wait any longer, and I crocheted Yoda earrings. Oh my gosh, I love these. I'm obsessed with these. I wear them all the time. So my initial plan was just to make Yoda. Yoda is my favorite Star Wars character. I cried when he died the first time I watched the movie. Sorry for the spoiler, but if you haven't seen Star Wars by now, I mean, that's kind of on you. Initially, I was going to crochet just the head, something that would have looked like this. However, I wanted to give him a face, so I added the eyes. Once I added the eyes, I felt like it looked so much more like Baby Yoda than actual Yoda. Yes, I know it's Grogu. I'm a very casual Star Wars fan. I still haven't finished The Mandalorian, but I love Yoda, and I like Star Wars. And I will forever call him Baby Yoda, because come on, it's cute. So anyways, once I realized this was looking like Baby Yoda, I decided to give the little, like, collar of his outfit, his cloak, whatever you want to call it. But I knew I still wanted to make Yoda. So I was trying to brainstorm ways that I could make him a little bit different than Baby Yoda, so that way it would be distinct that it's Baby Yoda and Yoda. So what I decided to do is I did not give him eyes, but I gave him a little lightsaber. The lightsaber, I took a toothpick and sanded it down. Then I painted it green, and then lastly went over the green with kind of an opaque metallic look. I don't know how well this will show on camera, but in person it kind of has almost a glowing effect. And then I crocheted this weird little gray section at the bottom, glued it on there, and then hot glued it to Yoda's head. So yeah, I'm just tickled with how these turned out. I think they're so cute. I really wish I could show y'all how I made these, but I don't really want to go up against the mouse because they say that the mouse always wins. But I did at least want to show them to y'all, and maybe it will inspire your own Star Wars crochet projects. Next up is something I have mentioned before, and it's so close to being done. It's this. This might not look like much. It is missing this. Bug Blitz Racing Game. So I have designed and crocheted a kids game. I'll give you a peek at what I've got. So this is the game board, which also rolls up to contain all the game pieces. So you undo this flap here, and then we can unroll it. And then down here we have our playing pieces and laminated instructions. Got a dice block, and then a bunch of bugs that players use to race. I was going for kind of a beetle-like look with the bugs. They look a little bit like spiders, which I'm terrified of, but still, I think they're really cute. And anyways, the basic gameplay is you have the mat, and you try to move from the start along the spaces and get your bugs to the finish line first. Again, this is another project I really want to share with y'all. I will have a video tutorial on how to crochet the pieces, and then I will have an Etsy pattern if you prefer a written pattern, and that will also include the printout of the instructions and then the name for the game. I thought I would have had it done already because this was a priority, but then I had a couple other things that just took precedent and I needed to get them out on a sooner timeline, but that should happen in the near future. And our next project is one of those projects that kind of took precedent just because of the timeline, and that is Sunny the Springtime Bunny. I'm sorry, I'm still obsessed with this pattern. You also have to understand that in all, I probably have put 100 hours into this bunny, designing, testing the design, filming, editing the video, typing up the pattern, posting the pattern, getting pictures, all that stuff. Probably 100 hours into it by this point. So that's part of why I'm very excited and keep mentioning it. The other reason is because I sometimes struggle with my amigurumi designs, but this bunny, I had a vision for it. I had a little sketch, and she turned out exactly the way I had hoped. Now, the cool thing about Sunny the Bunny is I've been playing around with it a little bit, and you can make Sunny in different sizes and with different yarns. This particular Sunny the Springtime Bunny, I used Wait For cotton yarn. So adorable. This makes for a smaller amigurumi. With this particular Sunny the Springtime Bunny, I used some of Hobie's Happy Chunky Fine chenille yarn. The Happy Chunky Fine is just a little bit smaller than the Posh chenille yarn, so I went down to a 5mm hook for this one. And for the Cotton Bunny, I went down to a 3mm hook. I also had one of my subscribers who bought the pattern and made it leave a review on my Etsy shop, including a picture of their bunny. Oh my gosh, y'all, it's so cute. They used acrylic yarn, so again, kind of shrunk it down a little bit, but it turned out beautiful. If you want to see how Sunny the Springtime Bunny looks in acrylic yarn, hop on over to my Etsy page and look at the review for that pattern. Oh my gosh, so cute. You did a great job. Then I had another spontaneous pattern. I did a lot of amigurumi so far this year. That's kind of different than what I normally am crocheting. But I made this little guy. Alright, the pattern I followed for this looked so cute. I'm not saying mine doesn't look cute, I'm just saying mine doesn't look quite like the pattern I was following. But this was very tiny yarn, and it was fun to play around with, and I'm happy enough with how it turned out. I think the part I did the best was the cookie, and I hid the tail end so that way it looks like a perfect circle, like you can't tell where the start and finish is. I'm so proud of that. But yeah, this was another one of those, I just feel like making a project, and I sat down, and like 3 hours later, I had myself a little cookie monster. Another amigurumi I got, y'all are probably familiar with the Woobles, and I crocheted Fox from Harry Potter. The little phoenix. So cute. This is actually my first time ever crocheting a Woobles. I've wanted to give them a try for some time, and my friend Shannon at the Spoonie Stitcher sent me one of their packets. So I got to try my hand at crocheting a Wooble. I'm also working on a video where I'm going to share my thoughts about the Woobles and my experience. Not sure when that's going to happen, but I think it's going to be a fun video. I definitely had a great time getting to play around with the Woobles. This next project, I feel like it's a little more up my alley, a little more of a typical type project for me. And I made a set of coasters. I have a childhood friend, haven't seen her in years, and over the holidays she was in town and we caught up. She got her first apartment, and so we wanted to send her a couple little things like housewarming type stuff. And so I crocheted her a set of cotton coasters. I feel like they're also big enough that you could use them as a hot pad for a pot. So they've got a bit of versatility to them. I followed a pattern for the coasters, which I'll have linked down in the description, and then I just freehanded the little basket that's holding them. I also tied the bow around it just because I wanted it to look all cute the way it was backed up. All in all, I think that project turned out super cute. And then the last project I completed so far this year is this frog lovey. This one, I've been working on it for some time. I probably got the yarn like 2, maybe 3 years ago. This is what I always intended to do with it, but the frog itself was the big holdup. I've played around with a bunch of different things and kind of hated them all. However, what I ended up with, I think it turned out pretty cute. I'm happy with the results, and that is a whip that I can check off my list. So briefly, let's go through how this all relates to my crochet resolutions for the year. My first resolution was that I wanted to complete 5 projects that I had already started back in 2024 or prior. And I got 2 of those 5 projects checked off. That would be the white basket and the frog lovey. My second resolution was to post 5 Etsy patterns this year. I've got one of them done, which is Sunny the Springtime Bunny. Again, go check her out. I think she's so cute. So since I'm a quarter of the way through the year and I've only got one done, I'm a little bit behind on this resolution technically, but I do have 2 more patterns that are so close to being ready to go. That would be the basket set and the bug game. So I think I'm on a good track with that. And then the third resolution was to use up 30 skeins of yarn that I had already owned before 2025 started. I've been holding on to labels to help me track this, and so far I have 6 labels from yarn that was from previous years. I also have 3 labels from yarn I bought this year because I do want to see how many labels I have at the end of the year, but these don't count towards my 30. So being that I have 6 out of 30 labels and I am a quarter of the way through the year, that means I'm only a fifth of the way through my goal. I would have needed to use up 7.5 skeins at this point to be perfectly on track. But again, I'm not that far behind on my goal. I think I'll be able to catch up. Overall, I'm feeling pretty good about my resolutions, so that leaves me with the last thing, and that's taking a quick look at the status of my current whips. I have a few projects I'm going to put on hold for the time being, and both of those projects are top-down yoke style sweaters. The weather's getting warm, I'm starting the garden, I'm ready for the outdoor weather, and I'm just not feeling the sweaters. So the 2 sweaters I've had in progress, I'm gonna leave till later in the year. If you watched the video where I went through all of my whips, you might remember me saying, oh yeah, this will be done another week. Didn't happen. I do have this whip from last year, and I've kind of finished crocheting it. I've got to do one last try on, and I might not like the way it fits, but if I do, I'll just have to weave in the ends, and then I'll be done with this one. Then I have 2 new whips that I've started. This little piece is the start of a sundress kind of cover up I'm working on. This is using some of the yarn that I thrifted earlier in the year. And then since I had finished up the frog lovey, I figured I would start on another baby blanket. I like having baby blankets going because it's something I can work on while I watch TV or hang out with family. Don't really have to think, don't have to do any video or filming stuff for it. This is a really pretty corner-to-corner design. Again, I will link to that in the description below. So there you have it. That is what the first quarter of 2025 is looking like for me as far as my crocheting goes. Going over everything has me feeling pretty motivated to keep chipping away at my goals, keep crocheting, and I'm excited to see what else 2025 holds. Thanks for watching and happy crafting. Alright, I've got a bone to pick with economists or businesses or the government. I don't know who's to blame, but I'm doing a video about the first quarter of the year, and I hope to do videos about the second, third, and fourth quarter of the year. However, when it comes to taxes, what they call quarters of the year are not quarters. At least here in the US anyways. So when it comes to paying taxes, the first quarter is the months January, February, and March. That makes sense, that tracks. The second quarter is April and May. Third quarter is June, July, August, and fourth quarter is September, October, November, December. What are we doing? A quarter is 1/4. And sure, if you look at the 4 quarters when it comes to taxes and average them out, you get an average of 3 months per quarter. But why? Why? Why does it have to be complicated? Somebody explain this to me.